Let's try this again. Go.
Try it again.
When I met the devil, it was a cold and stormy day. I was slightly disheveled, but I felt a spark there anyway. He taught me Eldritch fast, and I was sure this love would last. They all told me no, but he's the devil that I know. But now we're on the road, and we got so far to go. Brimstone angels bound together, here to run the show. We'll hunt down all your foes and punch them in the nose. Brimstone angels stay together. Go, go, go. When I saw in the devil, it was such a boring day. He wasn't that special. I was glad to walk away, but when we got kicked out, you needed me to bail you out. I raised my glaive and sent devils to their grave. But now we're on the road, and we got so far to go. Brimstone angels bound together, here to run the show. We'll hunt down all your foes and punch them in the nose. Brimstone angels stand together. Go, go, go. We're also one before we find ourselves. From the mountain peaks to the deepest dungeon delves, I'll have your back through all of that nine hells. Best of sisters. But now we're on the road, and we got so far to go. Brimstone angels bound together, here to run the show. We'll hunt down all your foes and punch them in the nose. Brimstone angels stand together. Go, go, go. Brimstone angels stand together. Go, 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 go.
There you have it, the world premiere of Brimstone Angels. Go, go, go. Let me tell you, So much work went into make sure that was a surprise for you, Aaron. Everybody was like, she cannot find out. Yes, that is coming from Bardic Inspiration, Volume 1. Hang on, wait, I can, boom, Bardic Inspiration, Volume 1.
Good afternoon and welcome to Idle Insights. My name is Dylan, and we have a very special thing planned for you today. First things first. Shout out and huge thanks to our co-producer and moderator Jay for taking the reins of the Cine Games account, running the raffles, making the codes, all that stuff. And of course, a huge thanks to Dungeons & Dragons for hosting us on the official D&D Twitch. It is and will always be an honor to be on this channel. So my guest today is the art overlord of Idle Champions, Alexis. And we thought that a very cool thing that we could do today would be to live draw some new familiars from scratch that don't exist yet, haven't been approved, etc., etc., etc. Now, they they will still have to go through approvals to become real familiars, but we can get a head start on that by drawing something cool and cute, and then while we're talking about things, maybe previewing some things, maybe spoiling some things, but in the meantime, Alexis, what do you want to start drawing first?
That's a good question, but I was thinking of maybe starting with like a baby myconid familiar.
A baby myconid, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Like some fungus.
Yeah. I'm just trying to pull up a picture of one on. Oh right, they vary so wildly. Really, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're pretty much just a jumble of whatever kind of mushrooms you could think of, so it's pretty open.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Is this something that you've been wanting to draw for a while?
No, I was just kind of thinking about like what potential new familiars we could do over the past couple of days, and I was like, that might be kind of fun. Scrolling through like the monster list and seeing what looked interesting and what could potentially be turned into a familiar, maybe.
Okay. And how does one, like, have you spent the day studying mushrooms, or what do you just study mushrooms normally? Like, why a myconid?
Well, mushrooms are cool, and there's lots of different kinds, but no, I do not study mushrooms on a regular basis.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to wing it, but I might pull up some reference as we're doing it.
Huh. Okay.
Victoria is a very wet place, so we have a fair amount of mushrooms in the forest.
One of my favorite times to go to markets is after the first rainfalls in, like, when summer's transitioning to autumn and you can start getting chanterelles. Oh, so
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I'm a little too scared to like try to harvest stuff on my own because
oh god, yeah.
I think the rules usually like if there's an edible kind of mushroom that you can eat and cook with, there's also like a super deadly kind that looks
the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Like one slight difference.
Pretty much, yeah. I do have some friends who like to go mushroom picking, and I know my dad likes to do it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm lazy. I don't like trudging through the forest in the rain. But I do like cooking and eating chanterelles, and a couple of years ago when I was hosting, I can't remember if it was Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner, back when you used to be able to invite people over to your home, and and I did a truffled mashed potatoes, and then I had a chanterelle gravy for the dinner, and it was decadent. It was very, very, very good.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah,
I would love some fresh chanterelles, but only if someone were to bring them to me and they're like an expert in the mushroom business.
Oh yeah, no, I always buy mine from a hippie at the market. And they're just there, and they've got like 20 boxes of mushrooms. They're like, "Yeah, man, buy some mushrooms," and I'm like, "Will do." Like, let's get some. In fact, I have two of them that stand out in my mind. There's the mushroom guy and the garlic guy. This is at the Moss Street Market, and the garlic guy speaks like 10 languages. He's a polyglot, and so there's a little sign there that's just like, you can ask me in like any one of the languages that's listed, and he's more than happy to converse with you. But he's just like, he's got like 20 varieties of garlic, which is awesome. I love garlic.
It is awesome.
And then like they're in the same like corner. He's like just opposite from the French guy who sells mushrooms. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the nice thing about markets is like you can pretty much pick up an entire meal there during the late seasons anyway.
Yeah, that is something that I have missed. I order a lot more stuff than I used to, and yeah, then when we do grocery shops, it's like super limited, and wearing a mask, and you go at a certain time, and yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah.
I'm now looking at pictures of actual mushrooms to see if there's anything we should add.
Yeah. You could do like, how some of them look like they're basically made like a lattice work of stuff that kind of comes out? You can give them a little lattice work beard.
Oh, that'd be really cute. I don't know if it would show up like an actual familiar size, because what are they, like this big?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's like Wordsworth is pretty detailed when you zoom in, but not so much when you see them in game.
Look at all his warts. Isn't he cute?
Somebody in chat was saying 2 cloves of garlic is not enough for garlic for any recipe, even if the recipe is for 2 cloves of garlic. I agree. I put like 8 to 10 in anything that I make, unless it's like those especially enormous cloves. Alpha Crawl wants to know what equipment and software do you use for making art?
Well, for work specifically, we use mostly Illustrator. I'm using Photoshop today just because my sketches will be a bit cleaner than they would be in Illustrator. In Illustrator, they end up looking pretty, I don't know, scratchy. So we use mostly Illustrator, and then we put the graphics into Animate so that we can run them through our uploader after that. And sometimes we use Photoshop for like some of our promotional graphics and stuff, but mostly it's those 2 programs.
I remember for a while there you were doing Photoshop sort of painted graphics of each of the characters as they were coming out that we'd used for our Steam capsules and some of the other promotional spots. Those were really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing those. I think we stepped away from it just because we were trying to increase our lead time a bit, so they didn't make the cut. But maybe it's something we could go back to one day.
They're also, I suspect, take a little bit longer than some things.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. One of the players in chat suggested that a familiar could be a plate of pancakes, which is not the first time somebody has suggested a stack of pancakes as a familiar or a character.
I think that would probably be a super fun familiar, but I don't always get to make the call how I will go into the game, so you probably have to run that through a few people to get the okay for it.
Yeah, I mean, Sean is calling for it, but I mean, he's biased.
Yeah,
he's got what do you call it? He's got interest in pancakes, and pancake adjacent things.
Yeah.
Next thing he'll be wanting a carafe of syrup, and then where does it end?
Well, with like the pancakes from his show, pretty much anything in game could be considered a pancake in disguise. Like, you never know that kobold that you're fighting, it's actually a pancake, right? Pancakes everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's totally true. Somebody else suggested a blink puppy. That's a good idea.
Ooh.
Blink puppy.
Huh. Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to write that down on my list. I was also thinking like a displacer beast, but the kitten version.
Displacer kitten?
Yeah.
Funny that you mentioned that. Somebody made some fan art of a displacer kitten as a familiar option in for 5e recently that I saw on Twitter, and I sent to my friend who DMs. And it's just like this cute little kitten with its little tentacles. And otherwise, it's basically the same as any of the other familiars. It's like a CR 1/4 or whatever, but it can also blink or teleport. No, it's got its mirror image thing going on. That's what they have, and I want it. I think it's a great idea. Displacer kittens and blink puppies are natural enemies, Disciply said, which is true. Yeah, I don't know how many people dive into that kind of lore, but Displacer beasts are monstrosities originally from the Feywild, and blink dogs were used to hunt them, and they're like mortal blood enemies, to the point where if you had like one of those awesome Displacer beast cloaks that like make it hard to hit you, blink dogs would just come at you. Like they see you, they're coming at you. They hate them so much. Yeah. Fun rando D&D fact.
Yeah, well, it might be kind of fun to have like a Displacer kitty and a blink puppy pack come out at the same time, and then like see which one wins.
Yeah. And whichever one makes more money can get an additional skin or something.
Yeah.
A skin with a like a gold medal on it. You know, the winner. Somebody asking if we can get a Sailor Moon themed skin for Fluffy, the Fluffy Beholder.
Oh, Fluffy's just hanging out up here as reference. Be cool, just like add a little moon. I don't know what else that would be. I guess like the cinnamon bun hair with tentacles on the end. Something
and just
like that.
Like a frilly kind of outfit of some kind.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know.
The sailor skirt at the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't know. We might run into some legal issues with that.
Yeah. It's definitely a legally distinct sailor shirt or skirt, and
yeah, magical girl beholder though, that could be definitely something we could
oh hey now, yeah,
get away with. Yeah. Legally distinct magical girl beholder.
Yeah. Jay's pointing out that you can just have a straight up school uniform for Fluffy the Beholder, and it would be adjacent to a Sailor Scout uniform. Yeah. Let's see. Let's play the pancake suggestion. Somebody wants a robot of some kind. Similar to the Robohound. I mean, we already Aquatic Demon. We actually already have an Iron Defender little robot dog familiar.
Yeah, that one's really cute.
That's super cute. Yeah.
I think that was one of George's that she did.
Yeah. You could tell it's George's by the way it's drawn for sure. And then what else? Ragnar has a question for you. Was fantasy and monster art something that you were always drawn to, no pun intended, or how did you get into it?
Yeah, I'd say for sure I was always kind of drawn to fantasy art. When I was younger, when I started drawing, it was like for a long time just fairies, always fairies. Then I was into pixies, and then I was into mermaids. Now I'm into unicorns. It's just been like kind of an ongoing thing. And like I was like when I was a teenager, I read Lord of the Rings, I think 3 times in a row. And I was just like enthralled with, elves and elves especially, like, and like the cities that we live in and stuff. So this is pretty cool to get to do this as a job now.
Yeah. And you do sometimes get to draw unicorns now for work. Yeah. Not to spoil anything that's coming up, but players can expect something like a unicorn very soon. Maybe even just a unicorn.
Yeah, when that came across like the sort of art list, I'm like, mine.
Yeah.
The benefits of being art overlord is I can take what I want.
Margaret already spoiled that one. When did Margaret spoil it? She's not supposed to have spoiled anything yet. Margaret! Well, you guys will see the unicorn art and you'll be like, damn, Alexis really likes drawing unicorns. Because it looks really good.
Well, thank you.
But it's also one of those things where, especially with Tyrrell, there's all these opportunities to do cool animal forms, and like the moose looks cool, moose roll.
Yeah, I think doing the moose kind of opened up a lot of doors for that, as opposed to just doing various different bears. It's like, ooh, what can we do that's like fun and interesting?
Yeah. Somebody suggested that the Myconid have a little rapier made from a tree root, and they could be Sir Fun Guy.
I like it. I drew his arms really short though.
Yeah, he's got little nubs.
You know, it kind of like his little head mushroom kind of looks like a musketeer type hat with the frills on the back. So
yeah,
maybe it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, just a little twig.
Yeah. So fun guy. Yeah.
That's a good name. Hyper Casual wants to know if you do tutorials or YouTube videos or anything like that.
Currently, I do not. But it's always like it's been something I'm kind of interested, especially like over quarantine. I've been watching like a lot of YouTube videos, which I never used to do. And I really enjoy watching people's like kind of art stuff where they just kind of like, especially like traditional art, like they do a watercolor painting and they kind of show their design process and then they paint it. And then it's like, ooh, if I had free time, which I don't, or at least I don't have the, maybe I have free time, but I'm wasting it doing other things.
You mean more important things like renovating your whole house?
Yeah, renovating my whole house and like binge watching TV. But you know, the idea is cool. I don't think like it's probably not going to happen, but it would be neat if I got my act together and tried something like that. Yeah.
We can always think of a way to get you some time to do more tutorials and drawing on the interwebs. This can be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've got some like newer artists on the Idol Champions team, and like we're really starting to gel together. So I think there might be like a bit of extra time to do fun stuff coming up. But yeah, it's Bronwyn, John, and Ivy. They're all super awesome, super talented artists, and they're doing really good.
What's that been like for you, taking over as art overlord for Idol Champions, and then having more artists hired that you have to work with?
It's been
have to work with sounds bad, and I didn't mean it that way, but like hiring new artists.
Mm-hmm. It's been really good, especially like I think everyone's really great to work with so far, and it's been very rewarding to see like as they kind of, you know, get trained on like the various different aspects of like our project and like start getting comfortable with things, to see how they're all like coming together and producing really awesome assets. So for me, even though I'm not the one drawing, I'm just like, I don't know, very proud of what's going on in our team. Although like it's their hard work. I'm just the overlord taking credit over here.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's always a weird thing to do as a manager, but at the same time, you're managing the team.
Totally.
So.
Like their achievements are their own, but it's really neat to see and to be a part of it.
Yeah. Baby Illy G wants to know if all the cute familiars in the game are because of you or because of somebody else.
Oh, so the familiars have actually been drawn by a lot of different artists. So I've done a few, like Warts and Fluffy are mine, and they're probably my favorite ones that I've done. I also did the Pirate Parrot. Georgia has done a bunch of our like most adorable ones. So she did the baby owl bear, and she did the Iron Defender pup and baby Spurt. Kat also did a bunch of the familiars, like the fairy dragon and like Evelyn's rat. And then I think Michelle, she did like the flump. So it's been like a team effort to get all the familiars done. It's sort of whoever has like a little bit of time between doing other things. But they are one of my favorite things to do in the game because they're just kind of cute and they don't really take too much time. So they're pretty fun.
Is it one of those things where you have like art assignments coming up and it's like, all right, so we have more familiars and everybody volunteers because they want them, or how does that work?
well, as art overload, it's like, okay, new familiars. I'm like, I'll just quietly take these. You guys can do the things right now. But yeah, it's kind of who has a free moment a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cassius 335 wants to know if you spend more time doing the familiars and whether or not you've done any of the champions, which I know the answer to, but do you want to tell them about some of the work that you've done on the game?
Sure. So like I've spent a bit of time doing familiars, but I've kind of had my fingers in like everything. I've done a bunch of the champions. Like Adam originally did like the core ones, but then after a while, I think my first one was Birdsong. And so I've done, I don't know, a bunch of the champions. I'm not really sure how many at this point, but I've kind of handed that off at this point so that some of the other artists can, take a turn at doing them, and they're doing really awesome work. So I think that was a good decision.
I was just going to go back and take a look at our champion list, because thankfully the wikis tend to have the order that they came out in a lot of the time. But I think that Birdsong was the first one you did. That sounds right.
Yeah, I think so. And then I do a lot of the backgrounds in the game, and then kind of just like little bits of icons here and there and stuff.
Who is the most recent champion that you did?
I'm trying to think what the last one that I did. Yeah, I did Ariza. Yeah. That would probably been. Yeah.
I just remember sending you a lot of photo references of Christina to get her hair right in them, which was important to her and made her really happy.
Yeah, she was a really fun one to work on, and I really enjoyed doing the skin for her as well. But yeah, we tend to work a couple months ahead of time on the art stuff, so it's like, okay, what's out? What am I allowed to say? I don't know. And yeah, I think Ariza, I drew her back in like November, early December, so it was a little while ago.
Right, yeah, that's one of the things to think about, the lead time, because especially I know that a lot of the art gets done for different things long before the devs get to it to try and make the character do stuff.
Yeah.
Because the art order already existed and it was already done, and then like maybe you have to tweak something, but
yeah.
Somebody was asking in chat if we list the artist who did something specific when we do champion spotlights, and we don't. Not that we necessarily couldn't, but I remember in the past Adam preferred that the art team gets credited, not the individual artist who did one specific thing gets credited, since everybody works on such radically different stuff sometimes that, I mean, I don't know, it's something we could do, I suppose, but...
Yeah. Well, I think like it's nice to credit the artist, but also like, some people are hard work, like working away at getting monsters done or portraits and stuff, and so that art doesn't always get like the spotlight, and so it can be a bit, I think, well, we don't want anyone to feel left out just because the art that they're doing, while still like very, very important, is not as front and central as like the characters are.
Because like has Michelle ever done, before she went on leave, had she ever done any of the champions?
She did the majority of Paulton.
Right.
Yeah, because she had done like a poster for that had
now
him on it. Yeah, and so she did the original art, and then I came in after and did the animations and stuff. And like I think maybe it wasn't a full body, so I went in
just
and,
drew
like,
enough of him for the poster. It was
Yeah.
But otherwise did like the first 200 monsters for the game or something, like some crazy number of monsters that she's drawn.
Yeah, like pretty much all of the first monsters were all Michelle. Yeah, but that's mostly what she worked on.
Which is funny because I remember when I started at Codename, Michelle was always working on monsters, but she didn't get to do the T-Rex. Somebody else took that.
At the time, we rolled for that fairly. And it was kind of, we were waiting for the next steps of art, so I was like, okay, I'll help out with monsters. And then there was the zombie T-Rex, and yeah, we rolled dice for it, and I won it fair and square. There was no stealing involved.
That time.
That time.
Okay. So one player suggested a zombie familiar or zombie familiar skin or something as a possible idea.
Do we have like a creeping hand familiar?
I think we have a mage hand. I don't think we did a creeping hand. Yeah, or a crawling claw or whatever they're called. And then players are also asking about, like, what about familiars that could be purchased with gems or with other things? And, like, that's one of those things that, I mean, you know, yes, eventually. Eventually there will be more gem familiars. I'm not immediately familiar with what the release cadence is for them. But, yeah, at some point there will be more. Let's see. Erica was asking if it was Bronwyn who did Tasha's Cauldron Homunculus.
Yes, it was.
There we go.
Yeah, that one was super cute too.
Yeah, it's a floating pot. It's great.
Yeah.
Somebody asking if, for bardic inspiration purposes, we could get a gramophone familiar.
Like a mimic gramophone or just like a awakened gramophone.
That would be amusing. Yeah. I mean, I feel like bardic inspiration's contribution to the game at this point is pretty significant, or at least it will be as of next week. So I don't know that we need a familiar to represent it. We already have 16 songs going into the game.
Well, need and want are two different things.
This is true. It's true. Another person in chat suggested that this myconid familiar be a little bit droopier, like an old man face, and quote, he should be juicy, which I was like, ugh. But yeah.
Where did I draw the rest of those lines?
Are you addicted to layers for your drawing like Georgia is?
No. I like to keep things as simple as possible, which kind of bites me in the ass later.
Yeah, because I've seen her draw and she's got like 300 layers, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I prefer just to have like lines, color, maybe like shade later. That's it. But I definitely don't do as much digital painting as Georgia does. So.
Someone suggested a Swordle familiar.
Oh,
Which came up once before. God, was that from Bardic Inspiration or something else? I can't remember what show that was on. I think it was Bardic Inspiration.
What is that?
Yeah.
I'm like Googling furiously.
A Swordle? I don't remember how the conversation got to it anymore. But yeah, just a living sword or something. Yeah.
A sentient sword.
Another one of those dumb conversations we had because we stream a lot. So eventually all things are talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was something that sounds similar to a Pokemon is what Jay just reminded me.
Make this guy a little drippier.
Alrighty. Another question here. Do you remember a familiar that came from the art team's hive mind, or do most of them come from the community?
So Fluffy actually came from the art team's mind. Not like we didn't do Extra Life this year because of things, but yeah. I think it was the year before. Michelle and I had a segment called Monster Draw, where we just pull adjectives and monsters out of a jar, and then kind of draw whatever the combination is. So Fluffy was Fluffy Beholder.
Yeah. And
it was very cute. So, yeah.
It's still very cute.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely one of my favorites when I see it.
Me too. It's pink and fluffy. I'm not like really like I'm not into like super like fluffy frilly things, but sometimes I really am. Yeah. And that was like all of it manifested in one familiar for me.
A fluffy plushie is what I want.
I like that too.
Just here, so I could be on stream and I could just hug it. With those little eye stalks sticking everywhere. It'd be so good. Oh, this is interesting. Skiboo How about a gelatinous cube familiar?
Oh, that's on the list.
That is on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'll do next. Sketch out our gelatinous cube.
Yeah. Are you, because you were present for the gelatinous cube's demise, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah. Are you still scarred by that, or
A little bit.
have you moved on? Because that was your idea.
Yeah. So it was kind of heartbreaking, right? Opening up that box and seeing like all the little shattered bits of our beloved cube. But also that seems like a world away from now, like such a long time ago, even though it was just about a year. So I guess in some senses I'm over it, because it's like, did that actually happen? But also, yeah, it was a defining moment in my life.
You know, if it's gonna be an old man one, could have a droopy mustache beard that's like lichen hanging down or something.
Yeah, change the lattice beard to lichen. That's a good idea.
Yeah, somebody just said, on behalf of FedEx, I hate that it happened. I don't remember if it was FedEx or if it was another shipping company, and I don't want to place the blame squarely on them in that, like, yes, whichever company did break it, but it's not like they intentionally did it.
No, I think
it was an unanticipated accident. Yeah. It would have been a temperature change probably, because it was heat molded acrylic, so it probably got really cold and brittle, and then the crate bumped another crate and shattered what was inside or something like that. Like,
yeah,
there's no way it was intentional.
Yeah, and it's, I think when it was being transported, like, our flights were canceled because like it was too cold to fly from like Alberta at the time. It was minus 40 degrees Celsius, and like I think there was like flooding in like the central US and stuff, so all shipping stuff was being delayed. And
that was PAX East, where we had to make a new booth from scratch the day before.
Okay.
God, that sucked. I forgot about that.
All the con mishaps have blended together into one like horrible trip in my head.
Yeah, this one time you went on a trip and like, these are the 50 things that went wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, actually you went on 5 trips and 10 things went wrong each time.
I wonder, is there like one convention that I went to where everything went right? I don't know.
The last PAX West we did, where the cube made its debut, went pretty swimmingly.
Yeah, I think
for us, actually, Adam and Dexter almost couldn't get over the border, so there was that. There was that whole the insurance thing. Never mind. That. So it was easy for everybody but Adam and Dexter.
Yeah. But I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't have to travel with them, so I guess that one was pretty good.
Our cons before, like, and I know it's not because Dexter took over logistics, but before we hired Dexter and he took over logistics, our cons were pretty smooth, and then like, all the things that went wrong happened mostly to Dexter during the next subsequent few events, and they're totally outside his control. It's just what happened.
Yeah, and now we don't do conventions
and
anymore.
Now we don't even do them. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
So there's a little like
old
Mike and sketch. Yep, with old man version. Looks a little imbalanced as old man version. Like there's all this beard right here and then like nothing here. Like he just sort of fell backwards.
I think the musketeer one might look, or the musketeer might look might look better without the fungus on his chin. Might like just straight up just draw the musketeer little goatee. I think would be perfect.
Yeah, just simplify that area a little bit.
Yeah, it looks good.
I'll just leave him as this for now.
Oh man. Let's see. Okay, so Dark Cyril would like to know if you have a favorite familiar or champion you've done for the game.
Ooh, well, favorite familiar would be tie between Fluffy and Wordsworth. Yeah, I love them both. I did like a little watercolor painting of Wordsworth during like sort of an October paint every day kind of thing that I was doing. So special place in my heart. And then for champions, I don't know. I was actually thinking about this when we decided that I'd come on stream today, because I think it's been a while since I've been on stream, but I think I get this question every time. And I would actually say Rosie B. Stinger, because I really, really love the animations that I did for her, where she's like kind of shadow stepping and then doing these like little kick things and lots of little punches and stuff. Like, it was so much fun.
The animation for Rosie's like shadow step attack is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it was just a super fun character to work on.
Yeah, interesting. It's funny because when I think of champions, I don't think of them in terms of like, because my contributions have never been artistic for them. Like, sometimes I've helped with design, but so like my bias is towards like, which ones did I help on? You know, and it's just kind of, it's interesting. But now it's kind of, for me, now I think about it and like, which ones has songs that I like? Because we've done so many Bardic Inspiration episodes. Like, you know, we just did episode 27. And like, we have a lot of good ones that have come through, and yeah, it's now I think about it, I'm like, oh, which songs do I like? It's like, it's where my brain wanders off to, because our art is so consistently good that now it's like, well, which one got a better theme song?
And I'm sure for a lot of people it's like, well, which ones are the most fun to play with?
Yeah, which one gets my party the furthest is a fair response. You know, and now I could just picture Alindra and Krull and Ashara fighting each other for slot 6. Because they're all super good in different ways. Yeah. Sean suggested which one makes the better pancake. I mean, only you would know, Sean, or you and Lee. Yeah.
Maybe there needs to be like a March Madness kind of like better, like champion pancake showdown.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, people are asking what are you going to put in the gelatinous cube? Well,
we can try a few different things. To start with, I'm just going to stick a regular old skull here, but just one skull because he's little. Dylan had suggested like a bird skull before.
Yeah. That's how we get a Kenku in the game. Is you got a little Kenku skull in the gelatinous cube.
I would love to draw a Kenku champion.
I was pushing for when Jim Zub's D&D books came out, those like mini ones that are geared towards younger audiences. They have a bunch of original characters that are like new official D&D characters in there. Those were the books where we found out that Shandy's last name is Freefoot. And there's a bunch of other known characters in there, but there's a couple new ones in there as well, including a Kenku monk. That I was like, Christophe, we need this Kenku monk in the game now. Like let's go. And he's like, no. I'm like, come on, man. Yeah. I was also pushing him to put the Otter Wizard in the game.
Oh yeah.
Because Traxagor, one of the NPCs in the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus book, is an Archmage who got polymorphed into an otter and liked it and stayed that way.
Yeah, I think I drew the portrait for Traxagor.
And I was like, make him into a champion. He's like, why? That doesn't make any sense for our narrative. I'm like, so? He's like, no. He's like, it needs to make sense, which is why our new Evergreen champion is going to be Rhea, as you know, because there are narrative reasons for that to be a thing in our game. But I'm still behind the scenes. Like, when's the otter, man? Let's do it. Otter Wizard.
Yeah.
The artist would love to do it.
Oh, totally. Otters are adorable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear about the horrible things they do. They're super cute.
They're horrifically monstrous, yeah. but they're really cute looking.
Yeah. All right, so we've got one with the skull. And...
yeah. It's funny, part of me thinks that because it's a familiar, the skull should be almost too big for it because it's a tiny cube, you know?
Yeah, like the top of the skull poking out a little bit.
Yeah.
Although I just had thought if the top was poking out, maybe there'd still be hair on it, and that would.
Oh, gross! No, yeah, don't do
that. Maybe not. Like it could have been moving around a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have? We have a bunch of other questions here. Let's see. Okay, so this question I think is kind of for me. It's like, are unanswered questions / suggestions / feedback still read and used as feedback, or should we ask again until we get a reply? I mean, that really varies, Alpha Crawl. Like, we don't get to everything and we don't respond to everything. That's just kind of the nature of the thing. All questions do get picked up because I'm looking at a document that's filled with them. And the ones I tend to skip over tend to be the ones that look like they're just comments or they're just statements, which like don't necessarily give us a lot of opportunity to respond directly to them, or they might not be relevant to the discussion that we're at hand. And then, like, depending on what it's like for a particular episode of a show and whether or not I have a guest, or if I have a guest who's going to leave after a set amount of time and I can go back to questions later, like sometimes I'll shuffle them around. So it's not unusual for me to take all episode to answer a question. But, you know, certainly, like, we were paying close attention to our chat and on all of our shows and in the Discord and in the Reddit and other places. So we do get the feedback. The other thing is that, like, I'm also, like, I can pass stuff along to the team, but I have no impact on the dev team. I said, the players said this. And that's, and then that, you know, they do with it what they will. So... I got another art comment here, / question. It's awesome seeing you make a copy and then go right into another iteration. Is that common with how art comes together?
It depends. Like, a lot of times our timelines are pretty tight, so we don't have like a lot of leeway to do multiple different versions. But for something like this, I think it's kind of nice to see, like, what, I don't know, just to try to give it like the best possible version that we can make. And often that happens, like, if I'm doing personal art, I'll do a bunch of different sketches for something before deciding on the final. But yeah, in terms of like our production timeline, no, we don't always get to really do this like multiple version type of thing. Unfortunately.
I have a question from me. Why do you guys draw on gray? Just for eye strain?
Yeah, so that would be one of the two reasons. And then the other one is like, it's a mid-tone. So when you see this, like when you have all the different backgrounds, if you blend all those colors together, it's going to probably be somewhere in the middle. So by having like a mid-tone instead of bright white, then you'll have a better idea of how the colors will look on it.
Okay.
So like, you know, if you've got white instead of gray, everything next to it's going to look darker or brighter. Like how the line of this, just this outline here. Yeah. It doesn't look as dark when you have gray underneath. But when it's white, it's like the contrast is really high. So it kind of gives us a better idea of how the colors might show on like a multicolored background.
Okay. Now, if you have, because I like the color palette used for Idle Champions is pretty distinctly different from previous games that Codename has done in some pretty remarkable ways. Does that mean that you use a different shade of gray for it, or like is there a way that it ties into how you're just trying to match the aesthetic?
No, I tend to just like for whatever we're working on, just kind of go in the middle of the gray, and a neutral gray too. So like if I were to pick from over here, it'd be kind of like a warm gray. If I were to pick from here, it'd be a cool gray, but along the edge, this is just neutral, medium gray. Okay. Yeah.
Somebody made the 50 Shades of Grey joke in the chat, and I'm disappointed, but not surprised. Alrighty. Garwar says that his headcanon is that Wartsworth was a wizard that's been polymorphed, and nobody has changed him back.
I think I read that on... Was that
actually our idea? I can't remember.
No, I like the first time I heard that was on Twitter, and I think probably through that comment, and I like it, so it's also my headcanon.
yeah. Toads don't tend to just wear hats. So
cute. Let's see. Is there anything else we could put inside of this?
The beak sticking out. Yeah, that works. Because it's just a beak.
Yep.
Yeah.
We might be able to put some like little partially singed feathers on top. I know they'd probably get melted right away, but Just for fun.
Yeah. No, I love it. I was describing to one of my friends. One of the friends that I DM for has been my DM for many years. I've known him for many decades. Well, many decades. That makes me feel old. And it is basically impossible to describe anything accurately in D&D without him knowing immediately what it is. And so I'm always throwing ideas at him for stuff that would, like, a player who is familiar with D&D deeply with the like monsters and stuff wouldn't know what it is. And so I had a conversation with him about invisible flying gelatinous cubes. Because like theoretically they're completely transparent, and the only reason you ever see anything in them is like something is being digested and melting down in it, but otherwise they're invisible. And I'm like, what if they could fly? He's like, no man, no. I'm like, no, like they'd be like floating gelatinous orbs, and then you stick to it and get pulled in and disintegrated.
Terrifying.
You know, like maybe they got made and like they're in a soap factory and like they float more like bubbles instead. That was my contribution to it, and he didn't approve, but I think I might do it. I think that could be fun. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can just imagine like you're just like walking along the street, chatting to a friend, eating ice cream, and all of a sudden you're being lifted into the air.
Yeah, you're like
and
stuck.
your skin's being melted.
Getting pulled up into it.
Yeah.
The only problem with invisible flying gelatinous cubes is that it cannot be sung to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song. Well, it's true. Yeah. That was an iconic one. We're almost at the halfway point for the episode. I'm wondering if I should tease any spoilers or show anything that's coming at all. Yeah. What do you think?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
How's everybody feeling? What you guys want to? You guys want to hear some music, or do you want to see some spoilers? Like, what are you into? I'll let everybody see let's see what chat says for a minute here, because there's that slight delay. So I start asking a question, and then like 20 seconds later, there's a whole bunch of answers. So like, blah. Both. Show us what you got.
I'm seeing lots of yes, please.
Okay. Let's see. Well, we do have this project coming up, and it's something that we're pretty proud of. So, would somebody like to hear a song from Bardic Inspiration Volume 1? Is that something that people would like to? Would somebody like to hear one of the songs from Bardic Inspiration?
Yes.
They say sing it. That's not okay. Hold on. No, I don't do that. Okay. Here you go.
I serve as master on my own. I cling to no one, I just roam. Dark order calls and I do right. Cut across the ground like a devil's knife. Legions rise up in my command, slaying our foes across the land. And
I'm kidding. So this is your official headphone warning. This is probably the loudest song we made. So, yeah, put your headphones on or turn it down or whatever you prefer.
this master on my own. I cling to no one, I just roam. The dark order calls and I do ride. Cut across the ground like a devil's knife. Legions rise up and I command, slaying our foes across the land. And for my master I will die, but not before I take your life. Upon my fiery blades will be your last bloodstains. The pounding drums of war will be their soul's refrain. I am pure savagery and primal rage untamed. I am a conqueror in her unholy name. Dark tower reaches to the sky. Ancient dragons circling high. Standing below, we wage our war for the queen of dragonkind forevermore. We are unstoppable. We are her righteous wrath. We will set her free. I can let us on this path. We are pure savagery and primal rage untamed. We are the conquerors in her unholy name.
I hope you liked it. Yeah, that was Savage Fire, the song we did for Torrigar Steelfist at the maybe October last year. Anyways, yeah, definitely going for a heavy metal Metallica-ish vibe with that one, and I think it turned out pretty darn good. And yeah, that is one of the songs from Bardic Inspiration Volume 1. Next week, releases on Wednesday. I should probably. I don't know how many of you are familiar with how to get access to soundtracks when you get one through Steam, because there's two different ways you can do it. There's a button that shows up on the game page where, what's the button called? Let me just look it up. I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. Additional content. So it's like if you have the game page open and you have the play button up here. On the right side, there's like a little bar that shows up a little ways down that says additional content, and so you'll be able to find the soundtrack there if you purchased it, or you can sort your Steam library, because like by default it sorts by games, and then you have that like the long window of games. But you can click on the tab that has the games check mark, and you can check. There's another checkbox for soundtracks that you can add, and you can click on that, and then it'll show up right beside Idle Champions, and so it'll be Idle Champions' Forgotten Realms on Steam, and then it'll be Bardic Inspiration Volume 1 paired right beside it. So I'm letting you know now, because I suspect that's a question that we will be answering a lot come Wednesday, especially Sean. So the amazing Overlord has put a mini guide to it in one of our internal channels to explain it. And yeah, we're pretty excited. Okay, I got to catch up on a few of the questions here to get back up to things. But Alexis, what are we drawing now?
We're drawing that blink puppy.
A blink puppy. Oh, sweet. Okay. Questions. Hypothetical question. If we were ever to get the other two members of the Dark Order, could we get a onesie skin for each head of Tiamat for all of them? That's amusing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we have any plans to do more Dark Order characters right now, because I think we limited the scope of Dark Order to the ones that are in the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus book, and I know that Joe has made more characters that he's put out through other platforms and stuff, and I don't know if he's got more plans for them or what, but that's always a possibility. Somebody asking about the cost of the fast core. And so there is no fast core yet. There was a build that accidentally went out where players could access something that was being tested and still in development, and so it's premature to talk about it. Yeah, it's a little premature. I know it's something that we all know is on the horizon, and maybe sometime soon you'll get to hear about where on the horizon it lies, and sometime sooner after, presumably, about what it may or may not cost to get, but that's a conversation for another day. Alrighty. Dylan, what was Wizards of the Coast's response to Bardic Inspiration Volume 1? It's a good question. So, our relationship with Wizards is that we work with a producer, or producers, I guess, in this case. And everything we do for the game goes through them to the different departments at Dungeons & Dragons, basically, to get approvals for different things. In the case of Bardic Inspiration Volume 1, when we said, hey, we want to do this, we sent them the highlight videos and the lyrics to the first 20 songs, and said that we were, and then gave them our short list of the ones that we were looking at adapting to make for the soundtrack for the game. And from there it goes to our producers, who are like, this is awesome, and then it goes to a bunch of different places at D&D to get approvals. And so because of the content included characters that have official lore about them, it went to the lore department at D&D, who were the quickest to respond. They loved it, and they gave it the thumbs up. But it also has a bunch of other departments to go through as well. And as far as we know, the response is really positive. But things being what they are, what we haven't had is a chance to in person talk to many people about it yet. So I hope they like it. I don't know why they wouldn't. I think we did an admirably good pop song for Tiamat, and why wouldn't that be appreciated? Somebody asking if there will be vocals in game or just instrumental. Both. So both the soundtrack versions of all the songs, where as sung by Jason Charles Miller and Ken Lee Shea, will be in the game, and then versions of each of the songs that are simply instrumental, with the vocal tracks removed, will also be in the game. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to answer all these questions, Alexis, because there are art questions too, and I just want to transition back and forth.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. Has Joe heard the studio version of Savage Fire? Yes. I don't know much about his reaction to it, other than he said, "Yeah, go for it." Somebody asking if it's only available for purchase. If you want the MP3s and the studio quality FLAC files, not WAV files. I thought it was going to be WAV files the other day, but they're going to be FLAC files. So if you want the studio quality FLAC files and the MP3s, that's a purchase. The Steam DLC is $10. That'll come on next Wednesday. However, everybody who has Idle Champions on every platform will get access to the soundtrack in game. Is it Steam only? It is currently only going to be available for purchase through Steam. And okay, that's all the soundtrack related questions I had listed. Okay, so Alexis, Gamer Cabot would love to know more about how you create character animations. Like, do you slice and dice your art into pieces and move them frame by frame? How does all that work?
Yes. We draw all the characters in pieces to begin with, so we don't necessarily have to slice them up, but like the hand is separate from the forearm, which is separate from the upper arm, and then the torso is one piece, and the hips and the head, and then we do all the animations in Animate, and for that it's a combination of moving the pieces frame by frame and also using like motion tweens. So generally you can kind of like set one keyframe for a pose, and then set another keyframe for the next part of the movement, and then just kind of get the program to do all the motion between that. It does involve a bit of adjusting after that, because like if you move a hand from like by someone's hip up to by their head, it's just going to move in a straight line, even if you want to move it in an arc. So we kind of go back and kind of make the movement look really nice. I'm making hand motions like you can see me, but but you can't. But yeah, so, and then sometimes movements are kind of a little more complicated, and then we'll do like a frame by frame type thing to make sure that it looks right.
How often do you find that you have to make like individual tweaks to the animation because the program does it? I mean, I'm sure at this point you're just so familiar with how the program animates it that you know what you're going to get out of everything that you put into it. But like, do you find that you have to tweak individual frames or adjust things because it doesn't move things exactly the way you want them to?
Oh yeah, all the time. And we don't use bones in our animation, so if we did that, then things would kind of, I think, move in more predictable fashion. But because we don't, it's sort of like it'll just move the thing from point A to point B with little thought to how it's connected to the body.
Huh. Okay, that's neat. Yeah. So, does that mean that you get like a pivot point, or that you have to like for a joint?
Yeah. So you can set a pivot point, so when you move something, you can just rotate it nicely, but it's still sort of the way Animate works, or the way we use it. It will still just kind of move it the best, like the most efficient way it can see. So yeah. Okay,
cool. Let's see, what does a blink puppy do in D&D?
Hunts displacer kitties.
yeah, hunts displacer kittens. Yeah, you know, it's funny. So like blink dogs are kind of what's the word? Domesticated is what I'm looking for. You know, not that there can't be wild blink dogs, but they have a pretty important place in the Feywild in terms of, you know, what lore they're a part of. That's I wonder, did we? I swear that Aaron and B Dave had a conversation about it on one of the Champions of Lore episodes that I wish I could just link to. But when it comes to blinking, they teleport. Yeah, they're little teleporting dogs, which is awesome and terrifying.
Yeah, I could just so I have a little dog, and I'm surprised he hasn't been barking during the stream. But if he could do that, he'd just be like on the kitchen counters all the time.
Oh yeah. And like you would turn and he'd be on the floor, but the kitchen counters would be trashed.
Yeah.
Because Rocket's a pretty smart dog.
Yeah. He's smart in that like kind of dumb way where he'll be like, "Ooh, a shortcut," and it's like, "No, Rocket, no."
Yeah. Somebody saying the existence of Blink dogs implies the existence of Blink wolves before domestication. Oof. I don't know that it does in D&D though, because a lot of stuff is the way that it is because of magic. Yeah. It kind of makes me wish I knew more about Blink dogs. I'd probably look into it after this to see if they were magically enhanced by elves or something, because I know that they were used by like elven courts to hunt displacer beasts. Yeah. Anyways, let's see. Dylan, does Codename Entertainment have an opinion yet on the level 1400 plus pushes done? I don't personally. I only found out about that today. I'm sure it's been discussed. We did have a player who was automatically banned by our system, who has been banned previously, tell us that they hadn't been cheating, but their click damage level was 9999999, like vastly impossible to get. So it's always fascinating when people just tell us the truth, you know, like yeah. Anyways, alrighty, a long question. I got to read this for a second before I. Okay, I get that you can't talk about when the fast core will come, but for items that have significant currency costs, like the fast core, can we get some sort of heads up so we know when to start saving gems or whatnot, as opposed to the current situation where we might sit on, say, 1 million gems, anticipating something that may not be coming soon? In general, our rule is that we don't comment on things that have been data mined. That being said, this was accidentally pushed during a state of development. So the only thing I can really say about it, Mike Baldy, is that the currency cost wasn't finalized, nor was the core. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt at this point. But certainly there was some very valid feedback that we saw when it was temporarily available for like an hour or something. There was some feedback we saw from players talking about things like how players on console would have a difficult, if not impossible, time trying to accumulate 1 million gems, given that they are unable to script and optimize the game in the same way that players on a PC system, for example, could. So yeah, my personal suggestion was that to unlock it, you had to consistently sacrifice potions of speed to it to keep it active or something, or for each reset. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see what the final version of it is like when it comes out. But yeah, I don't think that we're yeah, you know, it's a hard thing to talk about because it's not out and it wasn't in a finished state when it was unintentionally pushed to live and then fixed. So yeah. Interesting that both Savage Fire and Dragon Queen made it into Volume 1. Did Tiamat have a word? No. Volume 1's track list was really... Jason and I wrote down the 8 songs that we each individually wanted to include on the soundtrack, and then sent them to each other. And we saw that 6 or 7 of them overlapped, and we looked at the ones that were different and like just kind of made some hard calls. But we picked the ones that we most wanted to do with the first version, just straight up. And even though it killed me to make a pop song, it did turn out better than many songs that we've done. It turned out really, really strong. And the one that's on the soundtrack sounds really good. I look forward to people hearing it. Yeah, it was super cool. That Blink dog is super cute.
Thank you. Yeah, he's very cute.
Yeah, I feel like you've drawn a puppy before. That came together pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. I haven't drawn a puppy for Idle Champions, but yes, I have drawn lots of puppies in other instances.
Huh. So are you doing a displacer kitten now?
Yes. You are following my train of thought.
Yeah. Huh. Super cool. Yeah. I'm curious. So, in your role as the art overlord, how much of what monsters and stuff are being adapted is a conversation that you have with Chris when he's putting together, like when he's kind of designing what the next updates are going to be, or does he just send you the list? He's like, we need these 20 things. Like, what's the back and forth like for that?
Usually it's just Chris makes the list and then we do it. But like sometimes I'll take a look and I'll be like, oh no, we can't get that done in the time we have remaining. And then at that point, Chris and I will talk about how we can pare down the list and if there's anything that can be cut and stuff. But yeah, he designs the adventures, so he usually has a pretty good idea of what he would like for each sort of update.
So you don't send him notes like, when are we going to do this monster, or when are we going to go to this place?
No, but maybe I should.
And as a D&D player yourself,
Mm-hmm.
what settings and monsters and stuff are you interested in seeing in the game?
I would love to see more stuff in the Feywilds. I think that would be amazing. Just to do like all the super colorful backgrounds and stuff, and like, yeah, that would be very, very cool.
Magical primordial super jungle.
Yeah. Yeah, like just all the creatures and the backgrounds and stuff. I think it would be so much fun. Mm-hmm.
Abyssal Icarus says that the Blink doggo looks like it almost has a bovine touch around the eyes and nose, and it is adorable.
Oh yeah, he just looked a little cow. It's cute.
Well, it's a baby. It's a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Henry Lowenwind, why 8? I'm assuming, Henry Lowenwind, that you're asking why 8 songs of Bardic Inspiration soundtrack. Time and budget, just straight up. Making music is shockingly expensive. And I say that like Jason put the soundtrack together, and he did as much of it as he could do solo. And studio time, like just turning on the lights and the equipment in a studio is really profoundly expensive for a recording studio, because the power draw on that stuff is bananas. But then on top of that, you want to hire studio musicians for different things, like somebody to do the lead guitar for your Metallica style song, or one of the songs has a fiddler, or bringing Kenley on to do vocals. Musicians cost money. And so it's a time and budget thing. That's also the reason why I keep emphasizing to everybody, like, hey, if you like this and this is something you'd like to see more of, please buy the coffees, because it's just a huge expense. That's really it. Who did the guitar for Savage Fire? I want to say his name was Gary Potter Jr. Let me pull up the credits for Bardic Inspiration, because we have all the notes. So every one of the 8 songs was mixed by Stuart Carrera at Central Command Studios in LA. Gary Joseph Potter Jr. did the lead guitar. And then, we had additional composition from Aaron Evans and Vivid Vivka for the songs that they contributed to. Jason brought in somebody to play dobro. I don't even know what a dobro is. Brought in a guitarist for the Greatest Dwarven King and for Savage Fire, and for the Viper's Fangs, brought in a fiddler and extra vocals. That's okay. Alexis, would you like to do a jackalope familiar?
Yes. It's like a rabbit with antlers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to be confused to the rabbit with the horn that is an almirage.
Yeah. Yeah, Adam drew that one, and I was very jealous. It's a unicorn and a bunny.
I'm being informed by both by Overlord and by Jay that a dobro is a very specific type of guitar. Okay, cool. Yeah. Not a musician. Just because my name is all over the credits for a musical album that's coming out doesn't make me a musician. It makes me a writer / facilitator.
Did you ever think that would happen? Like...
No. You know what's funny is there are a lot of musicians in my family on both sides. And my father is a phenomenally talented guitarist who never pursued it professionally, and I don't know why. Probably because he was too busy getting married and having like 6 kids. But like a Steve Vai level guitarist, so it kind of breaks my heart a bit that he never went anywhere with it. And then there's a lot of big musicians on that side of the family. So when I eventually send this to him, it'll probably make him very happy that it exists, even though I didn't play on it. I just helped write it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Lauren wants to know if Art Overlord is on your business card, and if not, why not?
I don't have business cards, but otherwise it would be. Maybe. Hey, Dexter, make it happen.
Oh, somebody's asking if Adam has left C&E and why you have the Overlord title. Art Overlord is what Alexis declared her title to be whenever Adam wasn't around.
When he was on vacation, I was just like, I'm Overlord.
Yeah. And Adam, I can't say what he's working on. I could just say that he's still at C&E. He's still the art director. He's just not working on Idle Champions. And that is about as much as I can go on that subject. Yeah,
I think if I'm Art Overlord, then he's like art supreme being, right? Like there are steps above Art Overlord.
Art Emperor.
Art Emperor.
Yeah. Let's see. Somebody suggested that instead of Archmage, that Alexis is the Art Mage.
Ooh, I like that. It's magical.
Let's see.
I feel like all the artists at CME could also be called Art Mages.
Oh yeah, the art is so good. I remember. I don't even get to look at it as much as I used to, because that was one of my favorite things about being in the office is each time you go to the bathroom, you go get a drink or whatever, you walk past everybody else's screens and you see what they're working on. And I miss seeing people working on art.
I miss that too. I still get to see the assets, but not in progress really anymore.
Yeah, I don't look over my shoulder and see. I'm like, are you drawing a Tyrannosaurus? I still remember everybody in the office crowding around Mark's desk when he had finally programmed the T-Rex. And we were all just watching it, and it's like puking up zombies and it's roaring. We're like, this is so amazing. Jay is saying that whenever they walk past Ivy's desk, they sneak a peek at whatever Ivy's working on. And Ivy's a very talented artist.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Dylan is the Suge Knight of gaming music. Suge Knight, yeah. I don't know that I'd want to be associated with Suge Knight ever for any reason. Well, that name lives in infamy. Oh man. Have there been any teasers or spoilers for the spring extravaganza? If not, can we get one? Sure. Yeah. With the spring extravaganza, we will be releasing a new patron, Zariel, once she has been redeemed at the end of the Descent into Avernus main campaign. In addition to the Rhea Mantlemorn Evergreen Champion, patron Zariel will also be unlockable as of Wednesday next week. Which, I was a little on the fence about this spoiler because it is a narrative spoiler in some pretty major ways as well. But yeah. New patron coming next week. anyways, that is the direction that the Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus campaign is going. Yeah. Margaret was not kidding when she said the end of the month will be exciting. Yeah. Bardic Inspiration Volume 1, new Evergreen Champion, new patron, and that is not all. That is not all by a long shot. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do reserve a lot of the spoilers that I like the most for myself because I'm selfish. Mostly because there were some very specific songs I wanted to share, and then I kind of Griddle Champions will be previewing stuff from the update next week, tomorrow morning, that has not been shared on anything. And Garwar will be sharing things from the update next week, tomorrow afternoon, that has not been shared anywhere. Additionally, our social media over the weekend will share things from the update that have not been shared anywhere yet. And finally, Monday, Tuesday, we have more to share as well. The spring extravaganza, there's a lot of stuff. It's gonna be big. That kitten is cute as heck. Oh man,
Thank you.
It's distractingly cute. I say that as somebody who doesn't like cats. Kittens are cute.
Calling you into a false sense of security, and then and then I'll do displays of these things.
Yeah. Alrighty. So let's see. I answered Mike Baldy's question. Bum. By the way, there should be a chess code that is 12 A's that gives you 1 gold just to give the new player experience of exploring the UI, make it a little less negative. There are some very, very simple codes that have existed, but Cassius 335. What is Zariel's restriction? Oh, I'm not going to spoil that yet. That's a next week thing. What I can say is I have looked at it, and while it will, carve away like a third of available champions, there will be a lot of champions available still, especially many champions that people like to do Zariel patron variants. And I hope that was a vague enough response, because I can't really get into more specific. But I also, I do want, I like talking about stuff in advance, especially things that I know are coming, because I know for sure that it's locked in and it's coming next Wednesday. But I also want there to be some element of surprise and fun where you log in and you're like, oh, this is cool, and you get all of that. I know we make a detail-oriented game where deep diving into the math and all the different interactions and everything is something that all of us really like to do, but Delena is the only DPS who qualifies. Could you imagine the patron variant? It's the only champion with a DPS tag that can be used is Delena. That's the variant. I'd be like, oof. Oh man, you know what, don't say stuff like that, because we haven't been that specific with anything yet, but you throw that idea out to the ether and somebody like Justin or Chris hears it, that might happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is one variant where you can only use one character already, right?
I think there are a couple that are one of them is Companions of the Hall, another one is we did Caddy Alone.
That's the one
which was a year 1 variant, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was year 1. Which was one of the cooler variants, which is no longer accessible except through time gates. And I think we've done a couple others since that are similar. There's one that was Brunner and Wolfgar only. Those ones I think are really fun. Let's see.
What should I draw next?
What should you draw next? Well, we did the gelatinous cube and the fungus and the blink doggo and displacer kitten.
Could do the baby elementals, maybe.
Baby elementals I thought was a cute idea. You were also saying that you like fairies and pixies. Is there something fae that you'd like to do that's from 5e?
Let's see. Let's do a little search. We've done a lot of the Fae type monsters that could be good familiars already, like the Almirage is the Fae, and like we have pixies and the Chwingas.
Ooh, yeah. Chwingas are great. What about boggles?
What is a boggle?
They're like these little gremlin-y things.
Uh-huh. Let's see. It's kind of
they're ugly cute, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oops. Nope, that did not copy. Let's see. Oh, okay, it's not copying over. Anyway, it could be cute. Maybe.
Oh, it could easily be cute, but I think it needs to be ugly cute, right?
Yeah.
Like where it's like it's petite and kind of ugly, but that's also what makes it cute. Yeah, boggle's a good idea. Because I think we've done most of the other ones. I'm like looking through here. I'm like, we've done satyrs, we've done madcaps and redcaps, we've done all these other different things.
Let's see. Pixie riding a baby animal.
We've done pixies riding so many things.
They're all monsters, though. They're not familiars.
Yeah,
We could do that thing. I'm not sure if it's like official like lore, but fairies riding corgis into battle.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do it. Yeah, a fairy riding a corgi.
Yeah, I also saw something about a baby dryad, maybe somewhere in the chat. Baby dryad, yeah, that could be a cute one.
A baby dryad. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, let's see. Baby manticore, baby wereshark.
Might put baby in front of any like monster.
It's true.
And have something kind of interesting and probably adorable.
I feel like the corgi with whether it's a fairy or a boggle or anything else riding it is a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Neogi? What's a Neogi? Oh, those are creepy, Lauren. Come on. They're like spider bug things with tentacle heads.
I'm looking it up now.
They're aberrations.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's not cute.
That would be a good challenge, though. Maybe like a future extra life segment, like cutifying the most disturbing of D&D monsters.
I mean, there's a lot of aberrations that are horrific looking that would be a challenge to make cute. Okay, so while you start that, questions. Can one use dancing lights as a laser pointer to play with your displacer kitten? I say yes. I mean, yeah, fair point.
It sounds like something that would be in like a guide to raising a displacer kitten. Do use dancing lights as a laser pointer to distract them from eating your face.
Yeah. Will feats that will enable champions to be used for the new patron also be released at the same time? As far as I'm aware, Alpha Crawl, that is not something that we're planning to do. Yeah, but I can say off the top of my head that there are some feats already in the game that will probably help with that. Alrighty, Dylan, since you just joked about Delina, do you agree some champions are not good and need buffs? And if so, any plans to do so? I mean, really the thing about buffing or reworking or changing champions' ability sets around comes down to just time, dev cycles and time. I think Delina is in the way that she unfortunately stands out is that she's in a competitive slot that makes it difficult to use her, and supports don't work as well with her as other champions, despite the fact that she has a pretty powerfully designed kit on the whole. And that's kind of been the case since her rework, is that like on paper she looks like she should be good, and in some variants she can definitely shine, but you know, other slots it's just better to use a DPS from some of those other ones, especially if you want an optimal one. So Do I agree that some champions could use buffs? Absolutely. Do I have an ETA or any insight into when that might happen? I do not. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So, this one's for you, Alexis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it more difficult to work from home, or do you miss people looking over your shoulder for feedback?
I do actually enjoy working from home. Like I've made myself quite comfortable here. But I miss the office environment as well. Like just the sort of small interactions day to day are kind of like you can't really replicate that at home. And yeah, I think like I never really had a problem with like feeling like people were looking over my shoulder. And I found ways to like stay motivated at home, so I'm not like, so then I'm still being pretty consistent with my workflow. So it's, I don't know, it's like a sort of a non-answer of like, yes, I miss being at the office. Yes, I like working at home. I think in an ideal world, I could do like a bit of both. Yeah.
Alrighty, let's see. Will Sophias eventually become a champion? Are we going to have a Sophias, Averin, and Alindra family reunion? I cannot comment on possible upcoming characters. This is an interesting question. What are your thoughts on a Zekel hero or matchling familiar? So that opens up a really interesting question. So those who don't know, a Zekel is like a half dragon drow, a sort of offshoot of drow. They haven't been seen in like 2 or 3 editions of Dungeons and Dragons, and so because they have not been brought into 5e, the chances of us seeing them are very low. Just straight up, because we would want to bring them into the game authentically and officially, because we use source books for all of our stuff. So idle champions will not be the ones leading the charge to bring a race back into the game, most likely, barring some sort of weird, crazy circumstance. With that being said, I mean, if Wizards decides to use Zekel in something coming up and the stat sheet appears, etc., then that would open the door for it. It could happen. Some more suggestions, Alexis. Baby Tyrannosaurus.
Oh, yeah.
Baby Axebeak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those.
I think a baby
perfectly.
King of Feathers would be really cute.
A baby King of Feathers. So there's this baby T-Rex with all the little gold feathers sticking off it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another little teleporting familiar.
Yeah.
I didn't end up fighting the King of Feathers in my Tomb of Annihilation campaign, though we did see it. And we saw it like running after some prey and then teleporting up to it, and we were like, whoa, no way, and we just left. Like we stealthed away and ran. Like there's no way we're dealing with a teleporting T-Rex. Sorry.
Yeah, it was probably a smart choice.
Yeah. That was the campaign. We went through the Tomb of Annihilation and we killed a Serac at the end.
Nice.
Just by a coincidence of dice rolls and tactics that just surprisingly worked.
I think I've started playing Tomb of Annihilation 2 or 3 times, but never gotten out of Port Nyanzuru. Just hasn't ever really solidified into a permanent game.
I played through it. It was the home game and I campaigned through. And when my friend offered to DM it, like the catch was that I would DM the next game, which is why I'm DMing Baldur's Gate for him still. And it was a lot of fun. I really liked the campaign. There aren't many dungeons in it, which is to say there's one dungeon in it. Really.
One large one.
One quite large dungeon that is awesome. It is awesome. They did a really, really good job of the design of that dungeon, and it's super cool. But the book was kind of... there's a lot of stuff that worked in it. I think somebody who has a better background knowledge of some of the other areas around Chult, like Mesro and some of the other things that have happened in Oralunga and other places, would be able to put together a much better adventure than someone who just picks up the Tomb of Annihilation book and reads it and like as you go from place to place, because there's pretty huge swaths of jungle that are basically in the book designated this area is full of zombies, more or less, because zombies have totally overrun the jungles of Chult. But there's actually some like really incredible stuff on that continent that isn't included in that book, probably because it would have made the book 500 pages long, or 500 pages longer than it is. And they have to ultimately they have to finish everything somewhere. And it's you can kind of approach the adventure as like you're going to deal with hordes of undead and like go through this merciless jungle and eventually get to this dark tomb to go through, which is one way to approach it. But there's also lots of like really interesting kind of just stuff going on the continent, and it's not, I wouldn't say that it's easy to know what to use from it. Like there's a massive pirate city. There's like this massive pirate port that they've kind of like made for themselves in one part of it. There's the homeland of the turtles is in part of it, which isn't included in the book. But there's this island like down off the southern coast of Chult that is like where turtles are from.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, you would need the turtle package because it comes with all that stuff in it. And there's a lot of really cool and interesting things in there, but I don't know how easy it is to make a good adventure out of it. Because a lot of it would be slogging through zombie infested jungle.
We actually already have a fairy dragon familiar. I'm just seeing in the chat.
Yeah. That was one of the first ones we did. That was super cool. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so I think the Tomb of Annihilation is a really, really good book. Curse of Strahd is still my favorite one of 5e so far, but Tomb of Annihilation is contending for my second favorite. There's lots of. Sorry, I was gonna say there's lots of neat ruins and stuff, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, Curse of Strahd has been my favorite so far, but I've also really enjoyed Dragon Heist, and the parts of Tomb that we did play were really fun. And I mean, like, I've enjoyed all the games I've played, so if you just like start listing them off, like, and I like this one. Yeah.
I kind of want to. Now that Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft is going to be a thing, and they're, I guess, expanding. They're expanding the domains of dread and just giving you more. It makes me even more excited because I've wanted to DM a Curse of Strahd game at some point, and hoo boy, lots more options for it. But luckily, I will have the benefit of having watched B-Dave DM the Black Dice Society games through their Domains of Dread before then, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be super helpful.
Yeah.
Like,
I like watching.
Take that.
I like watching B-Dave DM. He's a good DM. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. God, that corgi's cute.
Thanks. I like corgis. They're adorable. I like all dogs really, but.
Dogs are pretty great. Yeah, not like cats. Cats are the worst.
I like cats, but they make me itchy, so I can't have one.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. I don't like them because I find them rude. Really consistently. I had one growing up that I didn't mind, but I don't know. I just not a cat person.
Yeah. I can't really argue with that. We had one growing up too, and I loved her to bits. But she was the kind of cat that once she was done being pet, she'd like roll over and like smack you with her claws.
Yeah.
Yeah, with no warning, just like, I'm done, stop touching.
Yeah, my cat was like that too. Every friend that ever came over, I'm like, don't touch the cat, she'll cut you. And they're like, whatever. And then she'd like sit down beside them and they'd go to pet her and she would cut them. Like, don't touch me ever. Like, which, I appreciate, I guess, but cats always seem to like me and I just don't really like them. Yeah, I don't know. Not for me. Give me an oversized dog, please. Somebody said cats taste like chicken in chat. Ugh.
Oh no.
Yeah. On behalf of the Idle Cats, Idle Champions stream, we take offense at your anti-feline statement. I wouldn't say I'm anti-feline so much as just don't care for them, could care less, indifferent. And I've known a lot of people who are cat people who you go to their house and you can't breathe even though you're not allergic because there's so much cat hair in the air. Like, it's just, I don't know.
My house is like that, but with dog hair. Rocket is very fluffy, and his hair like comes off of him and then just sort of like floats up into the air and disperses. No vacuum can compete.
It's like all over everything. Like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like dandelion fluff. It's just gonna like, yeah.
yeah. Somebody was saying that, like, that's why cats like you, Dylan. You don't go after their attention, so they demand it. I'm like, it might be true, because they don't get it from me, and they don't stop trying to get it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think cats can smell desperation.
Somebody asking if they missed the announcements about Freely's pirate skin and Spring Extravaganza next week. So the Spring Extravaganza is coming next week. It was first announced on Idle Champions Presents on Monday. And there have been some subsequent bits of information. The Bardic Inspiration Volume 1 soundtrack will be a part of that release, that celebration, both as downloadable DLC, $10 for 8 songs and 8 instrumental versions of songs, 2 discs of songs, if there were such thing as CDs anymore. But also coming to the game as part of the expanded soundtrack for the game with an in-game music player on all platforms, which is pretty cool. And then what else is coming with the Spring Extravaganza? We have a new Evergreen Champion coming, tied to the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus campaign, which is wrapping up the main narrative. As well, there will be a new patron coming as part of the Spring Extravaganza and the end of the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus main campaign. And there's a lot more. But I'm not going to spoil more of it because we kind of spread the news around throughout our shows and partners and stuff, and they get opportunities to spoil things too. So all I can say is tune into Griddle Champions. You will get more, and you turn into Garwar's Guide to Everything tomorrow afternoon, and you'll get more. And who knows? There's probably going to be more for Idle Champions Presents next week, and Bardic Inspiration next week, and then a full day of streaming on the Wednesday that we will talk more about on Monday. So, yeah. Master Burglar, Dylan, how did your week away from Idle Insights go for you and the family? Oh, so last week I took basically 2 half days off and then 3 full days off because my wife went back to work and I took over taking care of our daughter while she transitioned, and it was exhausting as hell being a solo parent for the first time, for the first week that my daughter hasn't had easy access to her mother while she is teething. And also when my wife hurt herself and was like, had strained her back and like could hardly move, so I was taking care of both of them. So it was super exhausting and really difficult all week long. I didn't get a lot of rest or anything. It did not feel like I took vacation days, even though that's what I took to do it. I don't regret doing it. I'm happy to have done it. I love them dearly, but boy, was that tiring. Huge shout out to anybody who has ever done any solo parenting, because that shit's hard. It's not that it's particularly hard to take care of your child. It's just hard to be vigilant and do it all day long and all night. And then what if they're not sleeping? Dealing with them not sleeping, etc. So it was a lot. Yeah. No, it's totally okay to ask about it, Master Burglar. It just it was exhausting. But also, I'm better now at hanging out with my kid than I was before I spent so much time with them back to back, right? And from here on out, because my wife is working again, and because of the way that we've organized our childcare, I take care of my daughter on Fridays, and working 4 days a week instead of 5, which is going to be a weird transition, but it's what's right for us at the moment. And And also a shout out for kids who they don't care. Like, something's wrong, whatever. They care that, like, I'm hungry right now, or I need this thing, or whatever it is. I kind of appreciate the insanity of it. Yeah. Will we get a bonus pancake stream on Wednesday next week? I mean, I wasn't going to spoil anything like that because we were going to talk about our day of streaming on Monday, but I can give a bit of a preview. Yes, there will be more pancakes on Wednesday next week. There will be more of lots of things. We will be streaming starting at 9 a.m. Pacific next week and ending at about 9 p.m. Pacific next week on Wednesday, March 31st for the day of streaming. So we will have lots of different kinds of giveaways that I don't want to get into yet because some of them we're waiting for to ship, and shipping is not what it was pre-pandemic. So there's a possibility that things might not arrive in time. We don't know. So I don't want to say that we're going to give away something that we can't give away, but we'll be doing lots of giveaways. We will have lots of content on this Twitch channel and lots of just cool stuff. Yeah. Although I suspect for Alexis, it'll probably be like any other day for you on Wednesday next week. It's like you have your art list and that's what you do.
Especially working from home, because it's like pretty much I'll have no idea what's happening with anybody else. Yeah.
But yeah, full day of streaming next Wednesday. We will talk more about what kind of content you can expect on Monday. And there's also there's a bunch of cool announcements tied to it that I want to let the people who have those things talk about. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. So, yeah. We were actually in the last 10 minutes of the episode.
Wow, that went by really, really fast.
Yeah. It's actually really kind of just calming and fun to watch you draw cute things.
I find it really calming and fun too.
Yeah. Wednesday is an all-employee day off for Codename. Oh God, no. It's an all-hands-on-deck day. When we do content releases, basically everybody's around. Everybody's around who can also all the developers will be on it all day long, because while all the builds I think are either in progress or in various stages of complete and to get distributed across all of our platforms, who knows what's going to happen when you hit the button, because sometimes things don't go exactly the way that you plan, and so they will all be present for that. There will be a developer Q&A at one point, and there will be some other cool stuff, but yeah. Anyways, we got a whole bunch of people thanking you for the amazing art and for sharing your time with us, Alexis.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was a really fun way to spend the afternoon.
They're also asking when I will invite you back.
I guess that's up to you.
Yeah, I also think part of it is where is your workload at? Because sometimes we're like, all right, we need 8 skins and 5 familiars for this TRPG live show that we're putting together. Yeah. And you're like, how many and how fast?
Yeah, when is this happening?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
And certainly there are things that you draw that we can't show until much later. Because even now, these all look awesome and we would love to start putting them in the game. But they need to be kind of done in our art style and finalized, and then go through rounds of approvals and possible changes, but most likely rounds of approvals to get made. And
and also there's familiars that are done that will be coming out before these guys, so it takes time.
I know people have been asking me about some familiars, and they're like, you should make so and so into a familiar, and I'm like, because maybe they already are one, but we just haven't released them yet, so. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just looking at the art now. I think you captured the expression on the kitten the best.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that one. Like, it's cute, but it also looks like it's up to no good.
Yeah, it looks like trouble, just straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I like the, I think I like the bird skull cube better.
I think so too.
I think it's the feathers sitting on it that sell it for me.
Mm-hmm. And I could see in the animation the feathers kind of like bouncing along as it walks.
They just kind of like rustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We could name the gelatinous cube like the remains of whomever, like their name.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and I think the Myconid does. I think the beard should go. But other than that, he's pretty cute.
Yeah, it'll be cuter without the beard.
Mm-hmm.
It was an interesting idea that I'm glad you indulged me with, but it probably looks better without.
Yeah.
I do like the little sword though.
Me too. I think the sword should stay.
Yeah, I think he just needs straight up a goatee.
Yeah, made out of some kind of mushroom something.
Yeah, Sir Fungus.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says we should name the cube Nevermore.
Nevermore. It's appropriate in a couple different ways.
Yeah, but is that word can't be trademarked or anything, can it? No, because God, all of Poe's stuff would be public domain by now, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, suggestion for Yorick for the cube. That's a good one too.
I mean, I like the name Yorick. Is that referencing something, or is it just because Yorick is a sweet name?
That's a Shakespeare reference, I think, for a skull.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Huh. Anyways, this has been Idle Insights for March 25th, 2021, which means that we have been working from home for more than a year now. So that's a thing. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us today. We really appreciate it. We're doing something a bit different today. I have actually had the game running in the background. I haven't looked at it, but it's apparently I've been doing a variant that has completed. But it's super cool to have Alexis join us and just draw some cool stuff. And I love getting to watch artists work especially now because I don't get to do it. So huge shout out to you, Alexis. Thank you for taking time out of your afternoon to join us. Huge shout out to everybody in chat for joining and participating in the discussion and asking questions. And I'm so excited for you guys to get all the stuff on Wednesday, but also to buy Bardic Inspiration Volume 1, please. Oh my God. And a huge shout out to Jay, our co-producer moderator, for being one of the amazing folks behind the scenes who helps us get stuff done. Shout out, of course, to D&D for hosting us on the D&D Twitch. And once again, thanks to Alexis for joining me today. Take care, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow morning for Griddle Champions and the coolest pancakes ever that I know that Lee and Sean are super, super excited to be working on. So take care, everybody. Cheers.
Bye.